Yeah, but how you doing, man?
Good. Weird, like this entire semester came together kind of last minute. Obviously, graduated in December. With that, I didn't know what I was going to do football-wise because I do have an extra year of eligibility with COVID year and redshirt year and all that. So I wasn't signed up for a singular class until classes started. So that was a whole thing. Had to meet with Bocart, my academic advisor, and had to meet with Gia, who is the athletic advisor, and get all that stuff figured out because obviously it was kind of trouble getting into classes when you're doing it that late. Yeah. Stuff fills up fast. Stuff is full 2 months before the last semester even ends, you know. So imagine doing it after the new semester has begun. It was difficult, but it's gone good. I had to get a new major and a new minor to get the required amount of credits to keep my eligibility for football.
What are you doing now for the major?
So I just graduated with broadcast production. I'm in sports media now, and since I'm a full-time student to keep my eligibility for football, I have to have 12 credits, so I still have to be in 4 classes, sadly. Okay. So it was a struggle trying to get into even 2 sports media classes, which I'm in right now. And Gia, the athletic advisor, just suggested I try and look for an easier minor to try and fill those credits, and communications was the one that she suggested to me, and I got into 2 classes in communication pretty easy, so that's my minor.
Which classes are you taking? Because I guess I've never been to the basement of the first floor of the building because it's kind of separated, so I spend all my time upstairs. But you're
saying in the communication classes or the sports media? There's propaganda, persuasion, and then like interpersonal communication, and it's just talking about exactly those 2 things. Propaganda, persuasion, where we've talked a lot about persuasion through advertisements and stuff like that. That's pretty much what it's been about the past few weeks. And then interpersonal communication is a lot of the same stuff. A lot of the stuff that we talk about in propaganda and persuasion is then talked again about in interpersonal communication. So it's there. I don't want to say they're easy classes because no class is easy necessarily, you know. But they're not hard by any means, you know. Yeah. Especially when you're learning like the same stuff back to back days. Yeah. You know, so I've enjoyed it. It's been good. Obviously, I keep telling my coaches like I'm here to play football, right? If it means taking the classes, I'll take the classes because at the end of the day, as long as I'm suiting up come August, it'll all be worth it.
Yeah. So like with that, I did want to talk about because I read a little bit of it. There was an article that I think a Maryville reporter did over you in October, kind of your journey. Coming to Northwest, you were a walk-on, decided to go that route at high school. How did that kind of come to fruition from your senior year of high school, coming to Northwest, and from there?
Yeah, so my high school journey was actually a lot like my journey has been in college. So I didn't play in a single football game. I played in games like if we were beating teams by a bunch when I was younger. But I didn't start a single game until my senior year of high school. I hadn't caught a pass, had no yards until my senior year of high school. And that's exactly how it's been in college. Sat the bench for 4 years and then finally got my chance this year and made the most of it. But out of high school, I had one offer coming out of high school, and that was to Benedictine. And that was the only visit I went on as well. So I took that visit to Benedictine, liked it, thought it was all right, you know, got an offer shortly after. My high school coach, Greg Jones, he's like a fairly prevalent figure in high school coaching. He's in the High School Hall of Fame for Missouri in terms of coaching, so he knows a lot of people. He actually knew Rich Wright, and I remember I was lifting in weights one day. This was after the season. And he came up to me and said, "Hey, Rich Wright, head coach at Northwest. I was talking to him. Said I have a guy here that I think would fit well into your team." Yada yada. He said, "I'll get you in contact with him. I think that that would work out and you'd be good there." He coached at Liberty North, my head coach. Before that, he was at Kearney, and there was a receiver from Kearney that was actually on the team at the time. And he said, "You remind me quite a bit of him, and I think that you would fit well into the system and all that." So, long story short, I ended up getting a text from Coach Jones like a week or 2 later, and he says, "Oh, by the way, that spot at Northwest is no longer open. That there were only a few spots left open when I told you about it, and they filled both the spots. So sorry." So I didn't really know what to do at that point. wasn't really feeling Benedictine too much. You know, it was an option, but that wasn't necessarily the place I really wanted to go. There were a couple guys in my class on that football team that were going to Truman State. And I talked to them, asked if they had any spots. They gave me contacts of their coaches, and I ended up texting one of the coaches and asking about, you know, availability. And I sent him my film, and he said he liked what he saw and this and that. And I thought there was a real possibility I could go up there. I have family in Kirksville, which is where Truman State is also. So the thought of that was appealing to me, obviously. So I'm in this whole process of talking to this Truman State coach. I'm starting to feel it out, tell my parents they like the idea, whatever. And then Coach Jones texts me out of nowhere. He says, hey, Rich Wright gave me a text. He said, one of the guys in your class just dropped out, so there's one more spot. He said, it's yours if you want it. And now suddenly I've gone from only having Benedictine to having Truman State and Northwest, which are two schools that I would really love to go to, that as options, you know. So I had like a long conversation with mom and dad, like heartfelt, like where do I want to go? I wanted to go to Northwest. Both my parents went to Northwest. This is actually where they met. They actually met at Powerhouse. Funny enough, I tell people that all the time. That's the exact reaction they give me every time.
Was it still kind of like the, I guess, club bar?
Club bar, dance from the back. It was Outback at the time.
Okay, yeah.
And when I was asking my parents about, you know, where'd you meet, whatever, they said, oh, Outback the bar. And I was like, I have no clue. It's been 20 years, guys. There's a different name. They said, oh, it's the bar with the dance floor and the door is on the corner.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, that's Powerhouse. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, so crazy story. But both my parents went to Northwest. I grew up a Northwest fan. I went to the 2015 national championship. Me and my dad got tickets to the 2016 one, the Snow Bowl, but we ended up going because the roads were so bad. But went to games, went to national championship, group a fan, you know. That was a place I wanted to go, but suddenly I'm in this spot where it's like I just got told by the head coach that they don't have spots left for me. So, like, do I want to go there and, like, fulfill my dream, or do I want, like, the villain arc to go crazy and end up going somewhere else and doing really good? But after talking to my parents and just giving it a lot of thought, I knew Northwest was the place I wanted to be. So I told Coach Jones, let's reach out to Coach Wright and tell him, yeah. And they got me up here on a visit. I walked around, loved the campus. I'd been on the campus already, you know, with my parents, but loved it. And obviously it was the right choice, sitting where I am now. But like I said, like not starting until my senior year of high school, like coming in here, a lot of the freshmen that come in, like they think they're going to play immediately. That's just how it is. I was never that guy. Like I was comfortable with knowing the fact that I was going to come in and I was going to have to battle for a spot, and I'm going to sit out my redshirt year, and I might sit out two years before I get a chance, you know. But I was right with that. I was willing to come in and put in the work and earn my spot. COVID year happens when I get here. Redshirt year the next year. All the seniors are playing that first year of eligibility or whatever. So suddenly 3 years go by, and I'm not getting any reps. And it's like, well, shoot, where do I stand at this point? I don't know. You don't see, like, someone in my position or someone with my story very much more in college football because of the transfer portal and all this stuff. But I take pride in that and knowing that I stuck it out here and constantly kept my head down and constantly kept pushing and, you know, blocked out the doubters and all that. And I'm very thankful that I was able to do that because after the season I just had last year, after finally getting my chance, just makes it all worth it. Yeah. You know, so again, like, just you don't see a lot of people in my position, and I take pride in that. And I think it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah. Do you ever look back, or have you ever contacted the guy that dropped out of the class and were like, you know, man, thank you?
So actually, I'm on my Snapchat. So my receiver coach when I got here, Zach Martin, it was his little brother who dropped out last minute. His little brother was going to come here to play receiver, dropped out last minute.
Where did he end up going?
He just stopped playing football.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened to him, but I'm on my Snapchat right now. I could literally text him right now and say, hey, man, you're a beast. Thank you so much.
He's the one you got to – it's like, who do you have a poster of? And, like, whenever you're working out as your inspirations and stuff, it's like two prominent figures, and then you got him. It's like, who the hell's that kid?
Yeah, you're hitting max squat. You're hitting max squat to that. Yeah.
It's like I gotta live up to that potential.
Right.
But you were talking about, so, like, your third year, didn't get reps kind of up to that point. Did you ever think about transferring?
Oh, yeah,
kind of.
Obviously. Again, a lot of like deep conversations with my parents trying to evaluate my situation. I actually started a game my sophomore year. No, my true freshman. Well, now I got to sit here and think. No, it would have been my sophomore year. I started a game, so it was Washburn at home. I don't know if you were here, if you remember, we hit a game-winning field goal that game. But
that would have been because I was in the end zone camera whenever that happened because the game-winning drive was coming down to that end zone. I was the one with that camera
to
that got everything.
The end zone opposite the scoreboard.
Yeah, the one that faced South Complex, the one down there. Yeah.
So I actually started that game. We played Pitt State the game before, and dude, Pitt State plays hard. Even this year, they were our last game. That was after that game was the most banged up I've been all year. Like Pitt State, they just play hard. It's a rivalry game. You're bound to be beat up after that game, So we played Pitt State at Pitt State. We lost, and we had 2 receivers go down, and then a third receiver that was injured coming into the game, so like a wounded soldier coming into the game. So 2 receivers go down, a third one is injured. I actually was able to start that game. I basically was just in on all the run plays, all the RPOs, just handoffs, like no big stuff, right? Yeah. But we ended up getting the win, and it was super cool. I remember after that game, knowing coming into the week, I was told that I was probably going to end up getting playing time or being the starter or whatever. So I texted all my friends, all my family, like, "Hey, I'm starting this game. Come on!" I got the extra tickets for them and whatever. So after the game was awesome, I went out with like all my buddies from back home in Kansas City. It was the best night. And then the rest of the season was obviously really slow after that. And then the next season, I actually played less than the season before because I started that game the season before. Going to the next season, my junior year, don't play barely any snaps other than the garbage time at the end of the games, So after that season was when I was really contemplating, like, okay, I have 2 years of eligibility left. Northwest has been great to me. I've met some of my best friends ever, but football, it just feels like it's been a constant letdown over and over and over again. And there's only so much of that type of emotion that a person can go through, So I talked to my parents. I talked to our weight trainer, Joe Q, and some of his assistants and asked them, like, what would you do if you were in my shoes? And, they had mixed emotions about it and different opinions and whatever. So just putting yourself in my shoes, what would you do, So the problem was I've been in college for 3 or 4 years now. All I have is practice film. Like especially if you're trying to transfer to another place like an MIAA school, because obviously I want to transfer to another MIAA school so I can come back and play Northwest and show them what they lost. I don't want to go to like an NAIA or D3. Nothing against them. It's just I feel like my skill level is higher than that, and I want to come back and play Northwest, obviously. But the options were slim with the little amount of film that I had. So after thinking about it and talking with everybody, it's just like. It feels like I'm in a hole and that I can't get out of. There's nothing I can do to try and go to a place that I feel like I can have success at. So ultimately, I decided to come back to Northwest, and turns out that it's been the best decision I ever made.
I was about to say you had a heck of a year this last year. I remember being at all the games, watching and directing them. I guess it was kind of a positive. I mean, you're a fellow media student, so anytime you'd get the ball upstairs, everybody'd go crazy and stuff. But I mean. Seems like it's working out pretty well. Did you ever, what was the furthest you got in that transfer talks? Did you talk to any schools? Did you look, or did you reach out, or was it kind of just the?
Looked, definitely. It was a lot of like looking up rosters, seeing, how many seniors were in the receiver group this year, how many guys are going to leave, how young are the guys that maybe didn't play as much. Like if they're freshmen, there's the chance they still might not play next year. If they're juniors, there's a good chance they come in and have that position to start. So it was a lot of just looking up rosters, stuff like that, looking at the coaching staffs, looking at their records, seeing if it's a coaching staff I would want to play for. Yeah. But ultimately, all of that led to nothing, and I'm glad it didn't because I'm still here. So. And on top of even football, just like at the end of that fall season, not knowing what I was going to do, and even more than just coming back and having a good football season, that last spring semester was the best semester I've had since I've been here. The guys that I was hanging out with, the classes that I was taking, 70 Hours of Hell, all that stuff, like all that just combined made it one of the best semesters of my life, and I'm so thankful for that, just not transferring and going somewhere else and having to make new friends and learn a new playbook and all this stuff. Coming back and just my life outside of football was in the best chapter it had ever been in, So I'm extremely thankful for taking that leap of faith and staying here in the green and white.
Yeah.
So
what's that balance like with I guess life outside of football? Because just being a non-student athlete, I kind of talked to Jake about it in the first episode and stuff, and it differs from sport to sport, obviously. But what is that like? Because I feel like, because I remember 70 Hours of Hell, we were sitting up in the editing bay, and you go, well, it's 5 o'clock. I napped for an hour in the editing bay. I got to go to lifts and stuff like that. And just, I feel like the perception is there's no time for anything else. And I'm just kind of curious from a first-person perspective on that, what that is.
Yeah, that perception is absolutely true. I have no time to do anything. I think a lot of people think that once it hits the off season, you have more time to do whatever you want. And it's true to an extent. You have more time. But you still have weights in the morning. You're still expected to go put in time on your own time, put in work on your own time. So going to the field and doing footwork, getting catches on the jugs, and then we have speed school in the afternoon, football school in the afternoon. Like we're running through new plays and stuff like that. So there's more time, there is, but the time is still very limited. So it's really really tough trying to balance your personal life with football. I say that I don't want to say that and make it sound like I'm complaining. Because if football and the time I'm putting in was really such a bargain and I hated it so much, I wouldn't be doing it. Yeah. It's a blessing to be able to do this. Joe Q, our strength trainer, always says you don't have to get up and work out. You get to get up and work out. Like you have the opportunity to do it. There's so many people out there that would die to be in your shoes. You played sports in high school. I'm sure there's a lot of things you would do to be able to play sports in college. And that's how everybody who doesn't go on to the next level to play feels. So I feel very blessed to be in the situation that I'm in, and I don't want to ever make it sound like I'm complaining about those things, because I'm blessed for every opportunity I've been given. And also being busy, being consistently busy all the time is a blessing in disguise, because I would much rather constantly be having something going on, whether it's school, making time for friends, football, than just be sitting in my bed and scrolling through TikTok, just being a phone zombie and wasting your life away, So there's a blessing to being busy. At the same time, do you need those moments of just melting into your bed and watching a movie or scrolling through TikTok? Absolutely. Everybody needs that, But I think it's a much better thing to be overly busy than have nothing to do.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that side of things with I was a high school athlete. I planned on going on to college to play baseball. Furthest I ever got was before I tore my ACL in my right leg was talking to a few small NAIA schools, nothing big, but hey, you want to come work out for us and everything. And then as soon as that happened, they wanted nothing to do with me. I texted the coaches and everything, and nothing to do with that. But I remember there was a friend of mine that ended up going off to play a sport somewhere, and obviously I don't want to say who it is, but they went off to play a sport, and the time they had put into this throughout high school and throughout their lives, same as me. I mean, I committed all my summers to playing travel ball and stuff, and seeing them get the opportunity to play at the next level, I was happy for them. But then from there, seeing I don't want to do this. This is a waste of time and stuff like that. And it's that perspective of I would have done anything to be in that situation. And just there was another guy I played baseball with who, one of the most talented people I've ever seen in my life. The most raw talent. This dude played next level. Yeah. Didn't necessarily have the work ethic to go and do stuff. And it just made me upset, because I would have killed to have that kind of stuff. But I was the type of person, I had to wake up in the morning. I had to go to weights all the time. I had to get stronger. I always had to put in time in the cage. And at the end of the day, it still wasn't enough. And, I'm happy for that time. And I thought about trying to walk on to a school somewhere. But at the end of the day, I kind of thought I left on a high note. I was at all district my senior year. We made it to the district championship for only the second time in school history and stuff. And I was happy with that time. And I didn't know how it would be in college, especially I guess somebody of my caliber at that time, it would have been a school just looking to fill roster spots, not necessarily looking to compete for anything, and that's the kind of stuff that I knew I wouldn't have enjoyed. But
Yeah.
I definitely feel it from that point of view, as somebody that and I appreciate you having that point of view. If you don't want to waste it, because there are people out there that don't get that opportunity.
Would kill for that opportunity. Yeah. And that's definitely something that drives me, just knowing that there's people that would love to be in the position that I'm in. And also just seeing the type of work ethic that other people have outside of just football, like you doing this and all the school that you've done, and working the checkout and all this stuff. Like the time that you're putting into that type of stuff, like who am I to sit back and like scoff at all the work that I'm required to put in? You know, like I'm seeing other people do it. My like 4 best buddies from Kansas City, 3 of them have a full-time job. One of them is still in school for his doctorate. And those are guys that I like to think of, you know, when the workout is starting to get hard, or when you're getting to the like conditioning finisher at the end. Like think of those guys. Like those are guys that are getting up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. and going in and working 8-hour, 9-hour days. Like who am I to sit here and complain about this opportunity that I have? You know, they're working their butts off. I should be doing the same, even if it's not us doing just football. It doesn't just have to be a sport thing. Seeing my dad get up every morning at 5 a.m. to get a workout in before work, and then going and working his 9 to 5. You know, who am I to complain about all the stuff that I have to do when I see him doing that every day, right? So that's something I try to live by, and something that definitely pushes me through the hard times.
Yeah, I guess on the more positive side of things, obviously, like you said, and like everybody saw, you got a chance to start this season. What was that like, that turnaround, going from not playing to, like, from at least my point of view, you were one of the go-to guys out there. You made a bunch of contested catches, big catches during games. Kind of what was that turnaround like?
Crazy. Definitely surprising. I remember I talked to John Jajari, who was another receiver. I talked to John Jajari about it right before the season ended, and he was just talking to me. He was like, Luke, I know I didn't, and I'm sure everybody else didn't see the type of season you had coming. You know, obviously we know you're a hard worker and you make plays in practice and stuff like this, but the type of season you had, I don't think anybody expected. And he said, I couldn't be more proud of you and all this stuff. And obviously I love John for that and loved him as a teammate, but it's cool to hear someone outside of just yourself like recognize the work that you put in. I think the type of spring ball I had last spring also makes it a little more surprising. The type of season I had, third practice of spring ball. I've been sitting out for 4 years. I'm finally getting my chance. Coming to practice 1. I'm one of the like the starting 3 receivers that's running with the ones. Have a good first practice. Come out practice 2. Have a good second practice. First 2 practices are helmet only. So unpadded practices, right? Coming to the third practice, first time having the shoulder pads on, running around, feeling good. Finally getting to block guys, get hands on, all this stuff. We get to the last team segment of the practice. I just have like a vertical ball. I dive for it. I make the catch. I roll over. I'm like on my knees. I'm like out of breath. I landed like right on my shoulder. So I'm out of breath and I'm getting up slowly. And Coach Wright comes up to me. He's jumping around. He's super excited, right? And I'm like, okay, something doesn't feel right. So I run off and I just take a seat on the bench. And Matt Cannella, the head athletic trainer, comes over. I'm like, Matt, something's wrong with my shoulder. It feels weird. Like my collarbone kind of hurts. And he reaches his hand in there and he's feeling around, looking at his facial expressions. I'm like, okay, he's not making any like weird faces, sad face, anything like that. He pulls out and goes, okay, I think this might require an ER visit. And I'm like, no, what is it? He's like, your collarbone's broken. It's sticking up pretty good.
Wow. I still remember the call that day, whenever you called me.
Yeah.
What was it? You had equipment out or something like that?
Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm not going to be able to return this today.
I was expecting something completely different because you called me and I was like, maybe like, I don't know, he got stranded somewhere just as good. And then you're like, hey, I'm not going to be able to turn equipment. And I'm like, oh, why? And you're like, I broke my collarbone. Yeah. I'm like, why are you calling me about this, man?
I just needed someone to vent to.
That was your excuse. You're like, I called about equipment, but I just needed somebody to hear me out.
So, Yeah, that happens, and I remember just sitting in the training room after, and I'd already called my parents and told them about it, and it's just like, gosh, 4 years, and I finally got my opportunity. I feel like I'm starting to seize it, and then this happens. Like, the thought of just being done crosses your mind. You know, it's like, I don't know what God has out for me, but he has got to be telling me this is not the path that he's chosen for me, because just everything just keeps going wrong. But no, I'm sitting there, and everybody's coming in, and they're like asking to see it, and a couple of guys come in, and they look at me and go, "Oh!" Like, that's not the reaction I need right now. Chill out. But Coach Sturdy, the OC, comes in, and he just gives me a pat on the shoulder and says, "Hey, it's going to be fine." He said, "We've seen the work you've put in the past 4 years. You don't need to have any question the type of role you're going to play once you're recovered and you come back." He said, "Just remember that." So that was very big, and keeping my spirits high over the course of the next few months that I was recovering and stuff like that. So thank you to him for that. That was big. And then fall ball comes around. I'd gone through all of summer just fine. My collarbone was recovered by then. Really doesn't take that long of a time. They threw a metal plate and 7 screws in there, and you just got to keep
casually metal plate.
No,
and
it's whatever.
Screws.
Wore the sling for 5-6 weeks, and then after that, it was just kind of slowly digressing your way into that recovery and back into working out and stuff like that. So once summer came around, I was pretty well good to go, and 2 months of summer, fall camp comes around, and I was good. Coach Gent, my receiver coach, it was actually the practice that I broke my collarbone was his first practice on the team. We had Coach Martin, my old receiver coach. He was the receiver coach for practice 1 and practice 2, and then he got a job at Northwestern. And Coach Gent comes in, and practice 3 was his first practice with me. Break my collarbone. Not a very good first impression. You're right. So you break my collarbone that, and I don't have another practice with him the rest of the year. I'm just kind of sitting there in the meetings, listening to what he has to say, and not taking notes or anything like that, right? I'm not practicing. So fall camp comes around. I feel like my relationship with him wasn't the best because I wasn't practicing. I wasn't taking tips from him and stuff like that. So my relationship with him wasn't the best, and we get to that first meeting for fall camp, and he sets a seating chart for all the players. And front row, Jake Weber, front row. Eric Richardson, front row. John Jajari, front row. Those are like the main 3 guys, plus me. And then he moves on. He goes, "Okay, second row." And I'm like, wow. He didn't say my name for the front row. Second row, Luke Mathews, Andrew Bradley, Duke Timmons, Jamar Simpson. And I'm sitting there. I'm at X, and it was me and AB splitting reps at X. It was Eric at the 1X. And I'm sitting there. I'm like, I don't know how to feel right now, because Sturdy comes in and tells me that my spot is safe. He knows how much work I put in, and suddenly I go from having a couple good practices in spring ball to splitting reps with the second team in fall camp. And I was pretty emotional. I kind of had to keep it in during the meetings, but after the meetings, I was very emotional. Didn't know what to do. It's like one of those moments where you lay in bed and turn on a song and just kind of stare at the ceiling, and just not move for an hour. Like, what do I do now? Yet again, I have the feeling that the work that I've put in up to this point isn't paying off. So, and Coach Gent could see that those emotions were kind of wearing on me a little bit, and he talked to me about it. I kind of let it loose on him and told him all my frustrations, and he was very professional about it. Took it in, and just reassured me that at the end of the day, if I'm gonna get reps and I'm gonna earn that spot, then I've got to go out there and put in the work. It doesn't matter if I'm one of the 1 receivers in the front row, or if I'm a 4th receiver all the way in the back of the room. If I go out there and make plays, I'm going to earn my spot, and that just planted that chip right back on my shoulder. That chip was bigger than it had ever been, right? So I go out there, have a good first practice, have a good second practice. I'm running at X, and then John ended up pulling his hamstring, or he hurt his ankle somehow. So he was like on and off all the spring ball. So they basically took me from the number 2X and moved me over to Z. I'd been in Sturdy's offense in the system for 4 years, so I knew the ins and outs of it by this point. So they felt pretty comfortable moving me over to Z. And And dude, that fall camp this past year was by far the best three weeks of football I've ever played. I was making every play. I was making contested catches. I was making blocks, which I don't do very often.
It's the attempt that matters with receivers.
Right,
you look at it, it's like you got guys like George Pickens that'll go out there and just walk away as soon as it's a run play. Hey, that makes a difference.
Yeah. Just showing that you're putting the effort and you care. It means something, right? So, like Coach Gent told me before fall camp started, it doesn't matter if you're in the first row or the fourth row. You go out there and you ball out, you're going to earn your spot. And once John came back and he was completely healthy, they kept me there at the 1Z, and John was splitting reps with Z and X, so he was still getting his reps in. And obviously that correlated to the season. First game, Mankato, I had a touchdown, 140 yards. I had the 80-yarder there in the third quarter.
The one that hit did it get tipped?
Got tipped.
I can't remember. It got tipped, and then you
just caught it. Just caught it out of the air. Yeah, that was a blessing for sure. It just kind of showed up in my lap, but had that, and then the rest of the season obviously just started from the Mankato game. Obviously it all worked out, but definitely it's crazy how I went from like the lowest of the lows after breaking my collarbone in March to being essentially the number one receiver and going for 140 yards come August 29th when our first game was. So it's amazing.
Yeah. Where do you, I guess, where do you look to take that this next season, or where's kind of the next chapter with that going?
Would like to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine the next chapter being. Obviously I still want to be a prevalent factor on the team. You know, still want to do my part, and also I need to, now that I'm in kind of that more leadership role. We need to take the younger guys with us, right? If you keep elevating, don't leave those other guys down below you. Like, take them with you, be a leader. So definitely doing that. I tell you what, we have so much talent in the younger receivers. This last class that just came in, there's 6 or 7 receivers.
Wow. Every
single one of them, I'm telling you, every single one of them I could imagine playing here. Like, they are all dudes. They are all ballers. I came in with 9 guys, and I'm the only one out of the 9 receivers that came in my class that got reps, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see me, one of 9, getting playing time, and now we have 7 freshman receivers, whatever it is. It's 6 or 7 freshman receivers, and they're all dudes. They all put in work. They're all hard workers, you know, and they're all really good at football. Yeah. Again, I mean, it's hard to play 7 receivers, especially all in the same class. So,
but it breeds that competition.
It breeds that competition,
which
you
from
need.
Getting complacent.
Absolutely. So don't know where all their paths will take them, what their trajectories will look like. But I definitely see a bright future for every single one of them.
There's a big 40 guys signed on signing day the other day. It looked like it was pretty split between offense and defense from what I was seeing, but a lot of transfers coming in that I noticed as well from some different schools.
That's how college football is now.
Yeah,
that's how it is. I talked to Coach Gent this morning, and college football, it's literally like free agency. It's just like the NFL. Like, you got guys that are entering the transfer portal, now they're just up for grabs for anyone, you know. College football is the most like a pro league that it has been ever. I think in my class we had 50 guys in my commitment class to Northwest. We had 50 football players, and now it's 40, and like 25% of those are transfers.
Yeah,
it's crazy to think about.
Yeah, what is that like with being a part of football? Because you came in to college football, I think it was because you said 2020 would have been that COVID year, so it was right as it was starting to transition that way, because transfer portal opened up in I think it was 2019, 2020, something like that. And then, of course, going into NIL, what is that kind of like? Especially, I guess we hear about it a lot from a Division I level and a lot of bigger schools, but what's that like even at like a high-class D2 school?
It's still completely different. NIL doesn't play too big of a role in Division II football. You got Division I guys that are staying in football, that are staying in college football because they're going to make more money in their senior year of college than they will in their rookie contract in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened with Carson Beck. Carson Beck transfers to Miami. He's going to make like $3 million this year at Miami versus $100,000 in his rookie contract.
I was about to say, because he probably would have been a mid-round pick, something like that, late round pick. They're making, I think Brock Purdy's contract is $750,000 a year or something like that. So he would have been making about $1 million a year. That's insane. To think about with those levels, because Quinn Ewers, that was a big question with him because he was making a ton of money off of NIL deals and just it's crazy to think about, especially an outsider's point of view.
But it doesn't have too much of an effect on Division II. At the end of the day, Division II, anything other than Division I football is just not going to be a big enough market to do that. No. And I like to think Northwest does have a great support from its community in terms of donations, stuff like that, booster clubs, all that type of stuff. We have great support. Same with Pitt State and UCM, like those places have great support too. But at the end of the day, the type of money that we bring in for NIL and stuff like that, it isn't enough to be the reason someone decides to come here. Yeah, So no, we've gotten plenty of transfers every year I've been here. Yeah, that third year. That third year coming in when I finally had like eligibility to play and all that. That spring I was running with the two receivers, and that was just another moment where I thought like, okay, it's finally my time to shine. And didn't end up happening, but that spring I was running with the twos, and then come summer we brought in 5 transfer receivers. Yeah, 5 transfer receivers.
That's crazy.
All older guys, all guys that were going to be given a shot to play, and suddenly I'm like sitting in the back of the bus again, So. Transfers have been prevalent since 2020. I'd say now, obviously, it's at its all-time high. Division I football just set a limit on their the amount of players they can have on a team to 105. And I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure 85 of those 105 have to be full ride scholarships. Wow. And the other 20 have to be on some type of scholarship.
So no more like preferred walk-ons or anything. There has to be some sort of money.
Non-Division I, yeah. And that was a big talking point coming into this season or this off season is, well, most Division I teams have 130, 135 guys. So suddenly they're going to be out 15 to 20 guys, 25 to 30 guys. Yeah. Where are these guys going to go? Well, they're probably going to transfer to a Division II school. Yeah. And where are they going to want to play? Probably a pretty good Division II school.
In the MIAA.
Like Northwest. In the MIAA, yeah.
Those top schools, you're looking at like UCM, Pitt State, Northwest. Mm-hmm. Even like Mo West has started to play really well these past few years.
Emporia, Fort Hays.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great conference to come to. Mm-hmm. I mean, Central Oklahoma had a great year this year too. I mean, I could see the MIAA picking up a lot of national attention for a lot of those transfers. Yeah. I think Division II in general, because it's starting to be the more traditional college football that people are looking at rather than, I mean, the minor leagues. That's essentially what Division I's turning into for.
I would say it's more competitive. There's not a single game that we're going to play this next year in the MIAA that isn't a competitive, fun game to watch. Yeah. And like you said, Division I, like you take an Alabama and you put it up against like a lower FBS, like a Toledo or something like that, who's going to win every time by 30 points, so you don't see that in Division II anymore. And it used to be like that. Like when Northwest was going on its back-to-back national championship runs, like we were beating every team by 25, 30 points. Right?
I think the average was I think it was like 36 points a game was the point differential a game, which is crazy. Stupid. Like that just does not happen anymore.
It's just not like that anymore. No. And the transfer portal has been a big part of that because you're just getting better competition, better guys moving down. I will say though, along with that, just to kind of maybe go against that point a little bit, I've been on the football team here now for 5 years, and I can probably count on one hand the amount of Division I bounce backs that Northwest has gotten that have actually played like big roles on this team. Yeah. It's a common misconception from the D1 players that transfer down to D2 that they're just going to come in and immediately have a starting spot and be one of the best players. There's been multiple guys that have come to Northwest from D1 that I've talked to that have been like, my plan coming to Northwest was I was just going to come here for a year, ball out, get film, transfer back up to D1 to a good school, and that in the time I've been here, that has never happened. Not saying that's not possible. I'm not saying that hasn't happened at other schools, but in my experience, that has not happened a single time. So
It's a positive, in my opinion, because it shows that it's not an easily corruptible culture to have at the schools. And I'm sure it probably happens at some smaller schools to where they come down like a Cam Newton situation where Cam Newton got in trouble, came down to a JUCO, and then bounced back up just to kind of get his feet under him again and stuff. But it speaks to the culture at a lot of these schools, especially Northwest, having a very big football culture and its history and stuff. And then again, Pitt State, UCM, a lot of, and then what's the school? Grand Valley up in Michigan, and
Grand Valley and Ferris State.
Ferris State, that's who I was trying to think of. Like a lot of those schools, it speaks to the culture that they have there, and that these are the guys we want. You've got to come in and earn your spot.
Absolutely.
So
one thing I always say is you got to remember with any college football team, whether it's NAIA, whether it's D1, the players on that team were all the best players on their high school team, which is why it's why NFL and those pro leagues are so crazy, because everybody on an NFL team were the best players on their college team. You know how hard it is to be the best player on your college team? It's insane. No, but again, those D1 guys, like they come down to D2 thinking the competition is going to be any different. Absolutely not. Yeah, it's a little different. Like the guys in D1, they're obviously going to be naturally bigger and faster and all this stuff. But Division II, we're not chumps by any means. Right?
Play just as hard. I mean, in my opinion, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but it feels like guys play a lot harder because it's the same I look at with, I guess, college volleyball. And then it used to be, I guess, with the WNBA becoming a bigger deal, but I always enjoyed watching women's college basketball because that was the peak of women's basketball, was women's college, and it feels like a lot of those guys and a lot of those girls at the same age are like they're playing their asses off because they're like, well, this is – not saying it doesn't happen, because obviously Northwest has had a bunch of guys. A lot of D2 guys have gone to the pros, but like a lot of them, it's like this is my Super Bowl, this is my professional, so I'm going to ball out while I'm here. So
you ever seen the clip of DK Metcalf was on a podcast? This was a few years ago, and they're asking, because obviously DK is in great shape. He's like a physical specimen, you know. And they're asking DK, they're like, dude, we got to ask, what's your diet on a daily basis? Like, you are insanely jacked. You're so
doesn't
fast.
He eat candy or something like that?
He said, yeah, I eat a good breakfast, and then I eat 3 bags of gummies the rest of the day. You know what would happen to me if I ate 3 bags of gummies, you know, every day?
You'd look like me.
There you go. Okay. But that's what I'm saying. Like, these Division I guys, they can eat a Pop-Tart for breakfast, drink a glass of milk, and go out and run a 4.3 and throw up 225 on bench 10 times. Yeah. You're not going to find those type of guys in Division II. So back to the point of, it seems like we work harder, or we try harder in the games. Well, we kind of have to. Yeah. Not saying the D1 guys aren't trying extremely hard. They're giving max effort come game time too. But the type of work that we're putting in behind closed doors, and even come game time, I think it's uncomparable. Like, we have to put in max effort 24/7 if we want to have any type of success.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference that I've seen too is the nutritional programs and health programs. Because our high school athletic trainer that came in my junior year, Mary, shout out to her. She was a dog. Like, she's the one that took care of my knee, got me back for baseball season with my PT and everything. But she did her graduate assistant and worked for TCU's football team for a little bit when Andy Dalton was there. Yeah. And she's like, Jason, we'd go in, you would take their weight at the beginning of a workout. At the end of the workout, take that same weight on a machine that would measure how much water they lost, and we'd calculate exactly how much Gatorade they were required to drink, how much protein they were required to get. It's like each player has their own catered meal system, like meal plan and stuff like that. And then my physical therapist, she worked for Mizzou's football team for a long time, and same thing. She was a nutritionist. She was like a just athletic trainer for Mizzou's, and it's the same thing. Like, their system, she said, there literally was a number. They would like scan a tag or like their body or some sort of thing that as soon as they stepped in, it was like, this is your exact thing. You need exactly this. They would sit down player profiles for everybody. And have you seen the clips of, I think it's Taylor Lewin was talking about the difference. I think it was on his podcast. It was a player talking about the difference of like, you go to a team like the Cowboys, obviously they're going to take care of you. The nutrition's great, but he's like, some college teams have it better than a lot of NFL teams where, like, the Commanders, whenever, like, under the old ownership was you walk in, you either have a green card as a healthy meal or a yellow card as an unhealthy meal, and you just scoop it onto your plate or something like that.
How it is.
It's crazy to think about the amount of money they pump into just that side of things for Division I.
No, I would like to think that if I had the type of like meal plans and readily available food and protein that those Division I schools had, I would be even better than I am now. Because one of the hardest things as a college athlete, especially someone in my shoes, like in all honesty, I could probably eat a cosmic brownie for every meal and not gain a pound, you know. But the problem with that is even when I am trying to force myself to eat and trying to get my protein in, I'm drinking a gallon of water a day. I could eat 3,000 calories in a day and stand on the scale the next day and be down a pound. You know, like I just don't have the nutrition that is readily available like the D1 guys do, and that goes for all Division II schools. It's insane. Like I was just telling you before this morning, I ate leftover chicken and rice. Like I have to make every single one of my meals. You know, you
does
guys,
your mom still give you the frozen meals?
She does. Mom, you help out quite a bit. Thank you. But those go quick. If she gives me 10 meals, they're gone in 5 days if I'm eating 2 of them. You know, so on a college kid's budget, it's hard to have to buy food to make yourself 3 meals a day. Yeah. And even then, the 3 meals might not be enough to help you gain weight and put on the type of muscle you need, especially with the workouts and the conditioning that Joe Cube puts us through, right? Not saying that we don't need that, but it's just tough to keep on the type of weight that you need. I'm
guessing you don't have a lot of time to work to earn that money to buy that extra stuff too.
I have to fit it in. Yeah, I worked at Applebee's. I've flipped steak. I flipped steaks and chicken. Yeah, but it's still really tough.
Yeah,
it is.
How many calories do you think you burn every day? Just like a typical in season. How many calories do you think you burn
in season?
A day?
Oh my gosh.
I've got a number in my head, and I'm curious if it's close.
Well, we're going through a 30 to 45 minute workout in the morning.
Because do you guys have the trackers?
We do have the trackers.
With the steps and everything?
We have with the steps, and it gives you like your top speed throughout the workout. Short workout in the morning. I'm walking around campus to get to class. I don't think a lot of people realize how many calories you burn literally just walking around.
Oh, yeah.
But walking to class, then we got practice afterwards, and then you're expected to get some drills or get some catches in after practice. That'll take another 15 to 20 minutes. I don't know if I could put a number on you, but it's definitely multiple thousand.
I've got a number. I'm guessing your daily, like in season, your your base calorie level to like retain and all that stuff is probably sitting at around 5,000 calories. And because I know mine, like I think I weighed this morning at the gym. I was 216, something like that. And I think mine is 3,000 calories a day. And like, I'm not going through all those workouts. So I bet it's an extra, you probably burn an extra 3,000 calories a day.
It's crazy.
In season.
Yeah. Well, I will say in fall camp, we actually get put on a meal plan for all fall camp because fall camp, if you think we're burning 5,000 calories during the season, we're burning 7 or 8 during fall camp because it's literally 24/7 football.
Yeah.
The only time you get to yourself is to go home and go to bed. And then what happens the second you wake up, you get ready and go to football, right?
Yeah, it's like Hell Week in the military. They say, like, you sleep in Navy SEAL Hell Week, and then sleep, and then immediately back up. Go.
Yeah. Hey, you blink, and then you're ready to go again. Yeah, but I will say, we get free meals at the Union during fall camp.
That's nice.
Which is nice, but at the same time,
it's Union food.
It's Union food. I like.
Oh man,
I have no problems when I'm eating food that I'm making for myself at home, right? And like I have no stomach issues, nothing like that.
You can also get the macros out on that stuff too. You know exactly what's going in your body.
Yeah, but like that food just runs through you, dude. Like one of the hardest things during fall camp isn't actually showing up to practice. It's like trying to control your bowel movements because if you're not at practice and you're not asleep, your chances are you're sitting on the toilet because all you have is Union food running through you. And like freshman year, when all you're eating is Union food, you can like build up a tolerance to it or whatever. But when all you're eating is like your normal like good food throughout the entire year, and then you have that short like 3 or 4 weeks of fall camp where all you're eating is Union food, it does something to you, dude. It messes you up pretty good, I tell you what.
That's what I tried to do freshman years. Whenever, dude, it got so bad, I had to start buying my own food. Yeah, because it was bad. But I remember I would go after the gym because, I mean, Foster's right there. You walk over straight from the gym. And I always went to either the Tex-Mex station, because, I mean, the rice and then just their protein option was normally pretty good, or the sandwich station. Because everywhere else, I was like, I'm not going to be able to sleep. I'm going to be up in the middle of the night. Like, I don't want to clean the shared bathroom. I don't want to be the reason we have to go clean that once a week. Yeah. So it's some, I feel you on that. Yeah. All right, I got my leg propped up now after I got my knee brace on, which I have my share of football injuries, but it's the other one. My first ACL was in the middle of football, and I just want you to picture I think he was probably he was about 6'3", country boy named Jasper, who was a defensive tackle. Imagine him just falling on your knee whenever you're running and it's outstretched, and it just falls back on your knee. Yeah. And that literally what you were talking about, that same reaction where guys were like, oh, like, I think, like, given the reaction, like, oh, and stuff like that. That's exactly what happened to me. I started screaming. I heard a pop. I got on the ground, and I got called because they told me it was a MCL strain for the longest time because I got off and walked off the field. And they were like, oh, you were crying like a baby, blah, 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 like just for that. And I was like, yeah. Turns out I tore every ligament in my knee except for my PCL, which I've heard you really only ever see in car accidents because your leg bends that way and stuff. But,
having the brace over the jeans is absolutely criminal.
I don't know where I'm supposed to put it, brother. And
if you ever needed a reason to only wear sweatpants everywhere you go,
I don't have any. I don't have any, man. And the thing is, these are loose fit jeans. Like, these are relaxed fit jeans, and it still won't fit under it. And second surgery now, I still have not mastered keeping this thing up. Like, I cannot keep this thing up to save my life. But talking outside of football, what are your plans post graduation? Are you sure yet?
That's a great question, brother. I think one of, I don't want to say driving factors, but definitely one of like the clear factors in terms of my decision to come back for another year was the lack of knowing what I want to do. I think the broadcast production major sets you up for a lot of things. It teaches you a lot of things. There's a lot of things that through being in this major has taught me to do, and there's a lot of pathways that it has opened in terms of careers that I would like to get into. What I want that to be exactly, though, your guess is as good as mine. So I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. For senior seminar we had our you had to like talk to a professional for your final and write a paper about it and what you learned and all this stuff. And I talked to Chad Mahoney, who is the CEO of Missouri Broadcasters Association. And for as nervous as I was going into that discussion, I felt so much better coming out of it because he just reassured me that you don't have to know exactly what you want to do. Like, there's so many routes you can take. My biggest concern being graduated is I have 0 internship hours. It was Brett Akagi, Brett Akagi, who came in for that professional day when a bunch of people came in and talked, and he was the person that I think you had your separate discussion with him too. Yeah, so I had my separate discussion with him, and he said it during his presentation, and then I kind of asked it again when I had my personal discussion with him, basically just saying that my biggest fear is that not having those internship hours is going to be a problem, because he said in his presentation to the big group that people are going to look at internship hours and time that you've actually put in outside of class as more important than just the fact that you have a degree, right? So I went into that discussion with him, and he basically reiterated it, like, you need to do all you can do to try and get those internship hours. And I just told him, I was like, dude, football takes up literally all my time. Yeah. Like, if I don't have time to like even go out and see my friends or drive an hour and a half back to Kansas City to see my family during the season, how am I going to have time to like get a job and put in these internship hours, So I was really hoping going into that professional day that I would feel a lot more relieved, and it was essentially the opposite by the end of it. But after having that discussion with Chad a month or two later, completely changed my mind. It made me feel so much better about the situation. Just his reassurance that as long as you're a hard worker and you come in every day and you put in the work and you do what your bosses are telling you and you put in extra time and all this stuff, you have nothing to worry about. You could have 0 internship hours. You could have 100. If you come in and you work hard, there will be a place for you. And I can say pretty confidently that I know how to work hard. So again, I'm not too sure what my life is going to look like after this year of football, but I'm confident that whatever path I take will be a successful one.
Yeah, I know you said you're now major to get that year of eligibility as sports media. Mm-hmm. That is one thing that of course, I'm not in the professional industry, but if you did want to go that route, I could see, especially being an athlete, like a student athlete through college, setting you apart in that aspect because they know you know the game, especially if you're going into football, you know the inner workings of stuff, how to talk to coaches. Yeah. So I could see that being a benefit that, like, a lot of us don't have that want to go into sports media and stuff too. So there's always a bright side to look at on those things, and even outside of just playing football, but getting that experience with it. Yeah,
when I declared my major, I talked to Bocart, and he basically laid out 2 options for me: broadcast production and sports media. And I remember sitting there thinking, I was like, what do I want to do? I could see myself going into sports, but I wanted to keep it more broad, right? So I went with broadcast production because I felt like I wasn't just sheltering myself to just sports media. Like it could be anything. It could be news, journalism, whatever I want it to be outside of just sports. So I went broadcast production. I'm glad I did that because it gave me an avenue to other things. It taught me how to do other things than just focusing on sports, right? But after graduating and just thinking about it more, I'm glad I ended up choosing broadcast production. But at the end of the day, I've been in sports my entire life. I've been a college athlete for 5 years. The path I end up taking career-wise will most likely be something in the sports world. It's still something that sports and football are still things that I love dearly and could see myself being happy doing for the rest of my life. So again, I'm glad I chose broadcast production because it opened up avenues to other things, taught me other things. But the career path I ended up taking will probably be something sports related. Yeah.
This is, I guess, kind of a side note with this. And I will ruin the surprise a little bit. So I reached out to your family. So you mentioned before we got on this podcast, because I figured this was a good segue talking about that. I don't know. But you were like, you should do like a Nardwuar type question, reach out to people and everything like that. So I will put it on the record. I did. I reached out to some people. Luke, you have no online presence, which made it incredibly difficult to find people to reach out to. But I got a text from one of my friends today that was a screenshot of a DM from a certain Luke Mathews that said, "Is this for real?" And I said, and I go, "Yeah, it is. That's funny as hell." I was like, that's funny as hell. Tell him whatever you want. That's amazing. So I'm referencing my buddy Fisher from high school. He was my throwing partner
bro.
throughout.
I know you're watching this. What are you doing? It's supposed to be a surprise.
I figured it was a good way to bleed it in here because, as somebody that I obviously doing this podcast, I do YouTube, I do social media. Like my online presence is a little more, so it's easier to find my old friends. And Fisher was my old throwing partner from high school. Was my throwing partner through playing baseball up until my senior year, and we were pretty good buddies throughout high school. So I'm very curious on that. I'm also curious if he's the only one that you reached out to. And based off that laugh, I'm guessing no. So I'm kind of curious to hear what that is.
Yeah, I actually texted your girlfriend, but she didn't end up getting back to me. I didn't really know how to lead it off. I was like, "Hey, this is like super embarrassing and so random." But
that's what with your sister. I said that I was like, she's definitely gonna think I'm some random creep hopping in. So I was just like, "Yo, I'm interviewing Luke for a podcast. Like, can you just give me something?" I was like, "She's definitely not gonna read this."
Yeah. You could have told her like, "Hey, I'm interviewing your brother for a podcast. I'm calling it Yada Yada." Directed by Soulless.
because I'm a ginger.
Soulless, right?
Thank you, Fisher. Thank you, Fisher. I could divulge some funny stuff about him on here too, but
hey, feel free. Hey, he ratted me out. He deserves it.
Thank you, Fisher. Is that all that he gave you? Because I'm very curious on that. Because me and Fisher had some interesting experiences together. We like nerded out in high school together. So. But Solus, yep, that was my nickname. I had some others that I definitely cannot say on this platform, especially using this facility by Northwest. Shout out to them. Thank you guys, by the way. I do need to show that. Not affiliated with Northwest in any way, but thank you guys for letting us use the facilities. Also, big thank you to John Rinehart right here. He is the new producer for this show, and I want to give him a shout out. He's going to be taking another role, but... yeah, that was my nickname in high school. I had some other ones too, but he always called me Solus. That came from one of my coaches as well. Yep. Calvino always called me Solus, followed by another word. So.
Well, okay, I think we can use our imaginations there.
Yeah. So I'm curious who else you got a hold of, because I'm gonna start using this. Fair warning to anybody else who is interviewed in this podcast. I'm gonna start using the reach out to your friends and family and see what I can get out of y'all. Yeah. But
no, but like with every good name to a podcast and with every good nickname comes like a catchphrase. A catchphrase that everybody needs. And like I'm sitting here thinking like, what could Jason's be? I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh,
I gotta guess.
I got a good catchphrase for Jason. Would you like to guess?
Shut up, Holland. Oh Lord, that's where I thought you were going. What is this?
I think a good catchphrase for you in the show would be, "I'm Jason Holland and I'm allergic to peanuts." Go, 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 go.
I have not heard that one in a hot minute. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that was my boy Sam Kopic.
Sam, baby.
That one. Oh my gosh. So in high school, we there was this kid who was in my class all throughout my time in high school, Dawson, who I'm obviously not going to say his last name, but he was special needs, and he was somebody that I grew up with throughout high school. He was in all my classes and stuff, But in high school, he was known for just walking up to people and saying random stuff, and we were talking one time in the FFA building, and he just walks up to me and goes, "My name's Jason Holland and I'm allergic to peanuts," and just starts laughing. And I was like, dog, I have the worst case in life because I am a asthmatic redhead who's allergic to peanuts and animals. So I've got one of the worst cases in life. There's very few things I could think of that could add to that, but that brought up a core memory from high school. Oh my Lord. I wish I had these on you. I'm going to get you on here again, and I'm going to have some. I'm going to have some next time.
Okay.
But,
oh, what do you mean? I'm like a perfect person. I've never done anything bad.
Oh, never.
There's nothing you could find on me.
Never. Never. Whenever we walk into your house whenever we were filming 70 Hours of Hell, and my favorite thing is you look up, and above the entryway is just alternating blue and white Mick Ultra cans.
It was Bush, and it was normal Bushes. And
no, it was Mick Ultra. Bushes. I know for a fact it was Mick Ultra. I know for a fact there was Mick Ultra up there.
Actually, I had multiple entryways with that ledge over it, and I think every single one of them was filled with a different beer can.
I think it was one of the ones into the dining room. There probably was other ones in there, but
there was. Yeah.
Oh man, that was fun. 70 Hours of Hell was. You mentioned that earlier. That was. I talked about it with Jake too. That was probably the project I am most proud of putting out here at Northwest. It was a blast, and like obviously it was long nights, but for a week it was one of the best things I've ever done.
That is probably the least amount of sleep I've ever gotten in a 70-hour time period. Rough, dude. Really rough. By the way, shout out to Sal.
Yeah.
Absolute legend. He was with us for like every hour, well, like, except for like the script writing and stuff. But he was literally on standby. Any second we needed him, he would show up. He showed up the next day when we weren't planning on shooting the next day and ready to go. And he balled out, dude. So shout out to Sal.
Shout out to my fraternity brother Sal. Like Sal Bonadonna, what a dog. Like, we knew we needed an actor, and we were like, he can act. He has experience doing it. He was in Dom's short film. So yeah, shout out to Sal right there.
That was great. No, dude. 70 hours of hell was definitely a great experience. Being able to work with you guys. I didn't have to travel. You had to come to my house, right? The limited amount of sleep that I got, I was able to just roll out of bed and be right there and ready to go. So shout out to you guys for putting that extra time driving and you getting equipment and having that ready and all that.
We also trashed your house though, so I wouldn't put it too much, dude. Because it was supposed to be like an abandoned house. Yeah. So just
random boxes everywhere.
Random boxes, like crushed cans. We literally just took whatever trash we had and threw it everywhere, empty cans. And it's like if somebody finished a bag of chips, we threw it on the ground.
Yeah, literally.
Shout out to you for help like cleaning that up after, because but yeah, no, it was a great experience, and I agree. Least amount of sleep I've ever gotten in a 70-hour period, but it was fun. Like, what did you think of the overall process of it?
I loved the editing process. Outside of 70 hours of hell, I had never worked on one of my own projects that had anyone editing it other than myself. I think there's a beauty to being able to, me as an editor versus you as an editor, being to add our own aspects of editing to the video. So you slept for a couple hours while I worked and added my aspects and added the things that I thought were nice and that I liked, and then I slept for a couple hours and you got on there and added the things that you liked, you know. So I've never been part of an editing process that took anyone other than myself. And it's a beautiful thing being able to see the things that you envision and the things that you add to the project in a positive manner, and just molding that with the positive elements that I added to it. And it was really a beautiful thing. And I think the way that Maury turned out really reflects how kind of those things molded and made it what it is.
Yeah, I would agree. Is that so? Being within media and you kind of talking about you're not 100% sure what you want to do after, is editing something you could kind of see yourself doing?
Yeah, absolutely. There's just, as with any skill, you're always improving. You know, I've been playing football my entire life, and I'm still improving in terms of route running and release moves and all this type of stuff, you know. So definitely have a long way to go if editing is something that I get into. But with every project I've done, I've enjoyed it immensely. You know, I wouldn't be there in the studio with you pulling an all-nighter if I didn't absolutely enjoy it, you know. Yeah. Being the last person to leave, you know, in the other classes and the other short films I did, being the last one to leave, like I wouldn't be the last one to leave if I didn't love it, if I didn't love every second of it, you know. So that's definitely something I could see myself having a smile walking into work every day to do, you know. I actually have my minor in writing. Last year on Bearcat Update, as you know, I was the script writer, and I enjoyed that immensely too. Doing the script writing for that, I thought it flowed well. Obviously, you being the host made it sound pretty good, right? I feel like I could have been
good. Script makes a difference.
Well, I feel like I could have put gibberish on there, and you would have turned out a good product. But no, I had a lot of fun writing those scripts every weekend for you to read. The process of like looking up stats and looking up the results of all the games that weekend, whether that was soccer, volleyball, or football, and being able to just kind of give a short story about every single one of those and write something that flowed and that people would understand. So I enjoyed that immensely too. Again, like all of these job options, I just don't know where I would start exactly, because you're not just going to go immediately into like a head editor or go immediately into like the script writer of a news station, you know. So I don't know exactly what that would look like, how I would even apply that type of stuff, how long it would take to kind of get into the position I want to be in. But honestly, that's really not what I'm worried about right now.
It's a good thing to throw on the resume, though, especially Bearcat Update getting, I think, third best sports production in the nation. I mean, that's a fantastic thing, especially whenever you can throw the script. The scripts are very well written, very well researched and stuff. That's something that I'd throw on there, especially if you are looking to go into writing. That's something you could definitely get the attention of some people with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and you know, my parents have been great supporters in terms of my football career and school, and always making it known that my efforts in the classroom and trying to start my career at the end of the day will be better for me in the long run, but also reassuring me that the efforts that I give on the football field are important right now, and it reflects the type of person you are.
yeah, what else you want to hit on while you're here?
Like one or two of your what is it? Your Spider-Man hard takes. What is it? Rough takes.
Oh, hot takes on
Hot takes,
Spider-Man
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man. And the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Tom Holland is the third best Spider-Man.
No, he is the best. He is the best Spider-Man. And the Amazing Spider-Man 2, one of the most unwatchable movies ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. You said TASM too?
Yeah.
The one with Electro?
Yeah.
Really?
One of the most unwatched. I tried to rewatch it right
Okay.
before No Way Home, and I couldn't finish. Like I got to the point where they arrested Electro after the Times Square thing. I couldn't watch it. Like it was so bad, dude.
Yeah, I'm not the person to like argue about movies, especially Marvel movies. But I've seen that movie. I think it's good. Have you ever seen the Escape Pod podcast?
I don't think I have.
Look up the Escape Pod podcast. It's like two nerdier guys, and they sit there, and one of them is like a super big Spider-Man nerd. Like he wears like one of those Spider-Man hoodies that goes over and it zips up
Hell
into Spider-Man.
yeah.
Like one of those guys. So good. They talk about movies all the time, TV shows, stuff outside of movies and TV shows, like just stuff about life, and they're super funny, dude. I love it. I've never like actually sat down and gone to their YouTube and watched a video. But whenever like I'm cooking breakfast in the morning, I'll just turn on TikTok and watch videos, and they always pop up, and I always click on their page and like just scroll through them for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
They're great. So give them a look. They have a lot of great takes. They talk about Spider-Man obviously a lot.
I'm guessing Star Wars based, and
Lots of Star Wars.
based off your Instagram, this is what I did. that most recent picture you have on there, like with the lightsaber, with the Jedi robe and all that stuff, is one of the sickest pictures
Very
I've
cool,
ever
right?
seen in my life.
Yeah, that was my buddy Carson Elwood. Yeah,
Dude.
Carson.
He's one of the guys I reached out to because he did
Yes.
the Breakfast Club video.
Breakfast
Because he
Club.
came and checked out equipment.
Amazing,
did the Breakfast
right?
Club. It was great.
Carson actually just graduated with me in December with like a business degree, and he's had a passion for media for a few years, and he has his own equipment and lighting kit and all that stuff, and that's what he used to do the pictures with me. And obviously he made The Breakfast Club, which is one of the best short films I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was great.
not even just university, just in general was great, and being able to work with him on it and be one of the characters in it, amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it so much. Yeah. That just shows like media doesn't have to be your major.
Yeah.
To have a passion in it. And it's something that's just readily available at any moment. Like anyone just in the outside world can buy a camera, buy Premiere Pro, make a short video, edit it, and put it out.
Yeah.
Anyone. So I think it's great.
There was a guy I went to high school with who went to the military, very talented musician, went to play trumpet. His name's Kyle Connor, and he got into photography at one point and just started taking pictures for where he was traveling with the military.
Yep.
And his skill over the past, like, I think he's been doing it 2 years, something like that. Those are like pictures you would see on professional pages and stuff. And it's one of those things. He's like, I just picked up a camera one day. He talks about it in the post. He's like, picked up a camera. It's became one of my passions. And it's crazy how that stuff works. Because have you seen I see him a lot on like Facebook Reels, but he's also on TikTok. It's like, everyday dad or like boring dad or something like that, and he
makes it cinematic somehow.
Yeah, it's like the 9 to 5, like my life from a 9 to 5 and stuff like that.
Yeah, take a paid hour break with me.
Yeah,
that guy.
Yeah, so he talks about in one of his stories, he took a year break from his full-time job to pursue media, which was a passion he always had, and he's like, I failed at it, and I learned I like a 9 to 5 better, and I can just do it on the side, and I can just do that kind of stuff. And it's the idea of like, I'm very big on doing what you enjoy for a career, because if you don't enjoy it, or at least don't find it tolerable, you're going to burn out. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
But also it's a thing like your interest in your hobby doesn't necessarily have to be your full-time career.
Right.
So,
yeah. One thing I want to talk about. So you lived close to, how close to Lake Ozarks did you live?
Do you know what Bagnell Dam is? So Bagnell Dam is like the main thing. It's like the dam that they built to do the lake. It actually powers like St. Louis. Like it ships power off. But
is that where there's like that's where like Truman Lake connects to Lake Ozarks, isn't it?
No,
that's
that's over in Warsaw. So that's way. Well, Warsaw is southwest of it, something like that. But I live from Bagnell Dam's a big landmark, like 6 minutes. 6 minutes north. I live about 10 minutes north of Lake of the Ozarks.
So you're right there.
Yeah.
I just think about that and think about like how different my life not being close to a big lake like that versus your life. Like I feel like if I was that close to a Lake of the Ozarks or a Table Rock, like that would be my entire identity. Because the time that I've spent at Table Rock or at Lake of the Ozarks, we have Smithville Lake in Smithville, which is a neighboring town to Liberty.
Yeah.
And my buddy Brock has a ski boat, and in the summers we'll get all of him and me and our best buddies will get together and just sit on the lake all day and ski and tube and throw out the big like blue lily pad and just lay out there with drinks. And I'm just thinking like, if I was as close to Lake of the Ozarks as you were, I would be out there as much as I could, because like some of my best memories and some of the best times in my life is literally just being out on the boat and floating with my friends. You know?
Yeah. It's one of those weird things, because I know coming up here, most people are from the Kansas City area, Omaha, or like Des Moines, somewhere in Iowa. And coming up here, it was always the introduction freshman year of like, tell us your major, your name, and where you're from. And everybody says that. And then I always say Lake of the Ozarks, because nobody knows where Eldon, Missouri is. But I say Lake of the Ozarks, and everybody's like, oh, you're on the lake? Like, that'd be cool. Like, I bet you party it up. And it's one of the things, because we love going to Branson, so down in Table Rock and stuff.
Yeah.
And I get people that live in Branson now that I've gotten older of like, it's not as attractive, because being at the Lake of the Ozarks, you avoid the lake as much as possible during the summer, because I think they gain an extra 250,000 people during the summer. The population of Eldon is bigger than Lake of the Ozarks till the summer hits. Yeah. And because Mahomes just built a house down there right across the toll bridge. Yeah. You can see it out on a little peninsula and stuff like that. Yeah. And there's a lot of celebrities. There's a lot of big athletes and big stuff, like big people that live down there. Yeah. But it's also the only recreational lake I'm aware of that allows ocean yachts, like liner yachts. So there's no boat size. There's no limit on the lake. So you could be in a little bass boat. You have a multi-million-dollar yacht that just like floats by you.
How do you go across the main channel unless you're in like a 20-foot boat?
You don't.
You know?
The waves get so bad because our neighbors got a boat recently, and it's a bigger, like it's got like 2 bedrooms underneath, and got it given to him by one of the guy's aunts, and like we went out on it, and even that boat, it's like we're fortunate to be on that boat because it's not even that big, but going out on smaller boats, going out on pontoons, it's fun, but you have to pick the non-busy weekends because the boat races, 4th of July weekend, Memorial Day weekend, is like, it's terrible to be on that place. And like, Party Cove lives up to it. Like, you need to come down sometime this summer, dude. The Bagnell Dam Strip is where all the bars are. You go bar hopping. Me and Sam did that last summer after I turned 21. Oh my gosh, we found a place called Roxy's that has best happy hour I've ever had. We went in the middle of the day. Roxy's was like $1 bottles, $2 wells or something like that. And then the bartender really liked talking to us. So I was like, "Where? Like, is Deep Eddy's a well here?" And this was before I started bartending, so I didn't know. And she was like, "It's not, but I can pour it for you because I really don't care." Yeah. I was getting top shelf liquor poured as a $2 well. Yeah. I think I spent between 6 drinks. I think I spent $13. Tipped like $5. I was tanked walking out of there. And we walked to more bars. It's one of the best times. And that's on
Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
Which is like a notorious party lake, all the drinks in the world, and you're walking out of there $11 down and feeling it. You know?
Like you can get expensive. So like Neon Taco is a big spot. I don't recommend going there. You have to pay for chips and salsa at a taco place. That's ridiculous. But like you can find the hole in the wall places. Eldon has a really good restaurant called Whittles Pub and Grub. Like I said, it's 10 minutes north. I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
Jolly Rogers is really cool. It's one of those it's kind of a not gimmick, but their gimmick is like they have a big pirate ship. You can go and have a meal and show out. Like it's a legit wooden pirate ship that they float out in the middle of the lake, and you can go have a meal on there. But like middle of the day, I talked about going down and bartending this summer if I can't find a good internship. I make $300 to $500 a day bartending, and it's insane because there's no off days. There's just busy days and not busy days. Excuse me, burping. I got half of it out, but it's fun. But it's one of those things. It's like whenever you live down there, it's not as appealing. I worked at a golf course down there one summer, and tourists can be terrible. Like there was a guy came in, they were terrible. Do you golf at all?
Yeah, my buddies are much more into it, so I just kind of tag along with them, but I'm not very good at it. So
yeah, you know how there's like cart path only if it's like raining and stuff. So it's cart path only. It just got done downpouring the previous day. Came in a big van of like 20 of them. They were like, we travel and go to all these golf courses. I was like, great. Like I worked off tips mainly, and I was like, cool. So you know the etiquette and everything. So we were going and. I don't think they realized we could see where their cart was on the path and all that stuff throughout their time on the course. Yeah. And they were off on the cart path. The pro shop manager, he was mad off his ass. Yeah. And then they come back in. The grandpa of the group literally looks at me. I clean his clubs, pick him up out of the cart, do everything for him. Looks at me and says, I don't have my wallet, as he's putting his wallet in his back pocket. I had a dude literally go, here's some for your trouble. He goes to hand me a $1 bill and drops it in front of me. Yeah. Dude, if I would have been working there for more than 2 months at that point, or I guess it would have been a month. If I would have been working more than a month, I would have said, you obviously need it more than I do. Like, you can pick that up. I'm not touching that. Yeah. But some, like, the locals were good. There was a group of guys that would get stoned. They lived on the course, get stoned, come over, just drive the course and play golf. They were one of the people you could send out and just be like, hole 14's open if you want to start playing from there. Play as many as you want and stuff. So it's fun, but it has its perks, but there's also some negatives with it, I guess. Like with everything. Yeah. Golf
has just never been something I've been able to get into. I'm just simply not good enough, and it costs way too much money. Like if you're not good at it, then what's the point in consistently spending money to do it? Here's the problem with golf: you could play the worst 17 holes of your life, like terrible. You're losing every single ball, right? You could be 100 over. If you have a good hole on that 18th hole, you're itching to come back. Yeah, you stripe a drive, you get it up on the green, you put it in. You could have 17 of the worst holes in your life, and if that last one's good, like you're ready to come back immediately. Oh yeah, that's one of my problems with golf. It's like I suck, but if I have one good hole, then I'm going to spend the money and come back another time.
That's my logic with sports betting. That's why I've never downloaded an app, dude. Are you allowed to because you're a college athlete with NCAA rules?
No, we're not allowed to.
I didn't think so.
No.
But I wasn't allowed to this summer with the Cubs whenever it was legalized, and I was in Iowa, but. I was a baseball guy, dude. Going out on that golf course, like it's terrible. But that's my logic with sports betting. I know I would lose a bunch of money, and then I get one, and I'm like, I could keep doing this.
I'm back.
Like one of the guys, dude. One of the Teak guys cashed in. He bet $50. Crap.
A little bit of a free promo here. I sports bet and stuff. Fliff. They give you a free $1 every single day. So every day it's non-withdrawable. But you can bet a free $1, just make like super stupid bets. The catch is you can't cash out until you have $50 in your account. But
that's how they get you in there though.
Yeah, but I don't put any money into there. I just use the free $1. Just cashed out a 1 to 75.
Dang.
Wow.
Dang.
How much did it get you?
75.
Oh, 75.
So $1 for 75.
But if you get that $1 a day, you don't spend it, you get another $1 next day. You don't spend it, you get another $1 next day. Can you spend $3 at a time? You can.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's pretty nice. You just can't withdraw free money that they give you. So you could save up $100 in the free $1 a day. You just can't pull it out.
Yeah.
I'll put too much money in there, dude. One of the Teak guys he bet $50 or put $50 into an app for the Super Bowl, got $400 in bonus bets, cashed out $1,500 on the Super Bowl. He promised us, obviously we're all Chiefs fans and stuff, and he promised us, he was like, dude, if I cash out on this, because one of them was 1.1K cash out, and then one of them was $400 cash out. He said, if I cash out on the 1.1K, I'm buying a keg and we're having a party.
Yeah.
And even though we lost, I texted, I said, so Austin,
when's this party?
the keg's still happening, he says. You know it, buddy. So, no, I can't get into sports betting for the same reason, but, I'm a baseball guy, so golf. I gave up golf when I was younger because it was ruining my swing, so my dad said golf or baseball, so I chose baseball.
Obviously.
And I golfed a little bit that summer because I got free golf, so whenever I'd do a closing shift and there was one person out on, the back nine, I'd play the front nine while I was waiting for him because I had the cart that I could see exactly where they were on everything. Sure. So, yeah, it was nice. It may be a good wrap-up time, too, because it's 6:30, give you a little bit of that buffer time. Anything else? Anybody you want to shout?
Not specifically, no. Adam Bocart, you're great. You're a great teacher and advisor. Appreciate you. That's my shout out.
Heck yeah. Well, I appreciate it, Luke. We'll definitely have you back on here again sometime, and I'll get some dirt on you next time. I'll get some fun things. I'll work them into the conversation, kind of like you did too. But
I was trying my best to not just.
Yeah, I kind of dropped it immediately, in there, and I just wanted to get to him because I was like, I want to bring up a good time to do this because I had to break it to you because I was curious about what Fisher said, and I was like, he definitely reached out to Sam or somebody else, but no, it was good having you, man. I'll definitely have you back on here again, and good luck this next season, and
appreciate you.
We'll probably have you on around that time, kind of get your predictions going into fall ball.
Yeah, you're graduating in spring or fall?
Fall. I'll be here.
Fall.
Yep.
You'll be here.
So
okay.
I'll be here, and I don't plan on doing Cat Vision again. I haven't said that to anybody or any of the advisors, so there's my spoiler. But so I'll actually get to enjoy the games, probably be on the sideline, get a media pass, do some filming and stuff. Yep. So, but it's time that we have. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.